thankfully, we woke up this morning and I am so grateful that all of the protests on
It worked.
Saturday were a success. There is no king today.
It's so
Not
nice.
one king showed up to the United States to take Donald Trump's job.
They just give.
So very good job on the protesting from
Thank
people
you
out there
for all the libs.
protesting and everything. I did go to the one in San Antonio. I was able to talk to a couple people there. I think we're going to upload that separate from this one because it's its own kind of live on the scene, which I didn't get any per diem for, apparently.
It's up to Roz. You got to all the paperwork through her. Get your file, your paperwork. That's what she sounds like.
But I think we'll upload that. I did get to talk to a couple of people that were out there, and then just some other random video shots of signs and the clientele that were out there for that protest.
Oh, if you happen to hear some whining in the background, it's Boo. She thinks it's time to eat.
Oh, well, so it is.
I apologize.
Boo is her dog, by the way. One of
them.
Yeah, one of her bosses. One of her 4 bosses there. I do have a couple of clips from the event that I do want to show today. Get your opinion on. Before I hop into those, do you have any questions or anything about the event?
What was your take on the average age of the people there? Because I've been reading a lot of old people were there who remembered kings.
I can say that there were quite a few old, there were quite a few young. I mean, it was a good variety. I can say that a majority of the people there most likely did not wear deodorant because it was ripe out there.
Wasn't invented the last time they fought kings.
It was not a pleasant smell. First, I thought it was because it was Travis Park and quite a bit of homeless out there.
That's why they had gas masks.
It was pretty brutal.
Was the crowd pretty quiet? I mean, docile, not docile. Were they?
It wasn't.
They behaved.
Yes, I was going to go into that and say that is the one thing that I can say. Regardless, political differences and everything, they were peaceful, and I do appreciate that. I was actually interviewed by, is it KSAT? I think that
KSAT Channel 12 here in.
That they were talking to an elementary teacher who was sitting right beside me before it got kind of crowded, and they were asking her, her thoughts and everything, and she went into the whole, in tears that she doesn't know from one day to the next if one of her students is going to show up because they were deported or whatever.
Not separated from their family.
Right. And so then afterwards, I asked the reporter, I was like, "Do you want an alternative view?" And she was like, "Excuse me." I said, "Do you want an alternative view to this lady's opinion?" She's like, "Sure, give me a second." So, they settle everything, and then she starts talking to me, and she asked me why I'm out there. And I said, basically, it was my First Amendment right to be out there just as much as it is anybody else's that's out here. I have a freedom of speech and can, protest and everything as well. And I was out there essentially to be an alternative voice. She asked, what I thought about everything, going on. I said, first and foremost, I hope that it was peaceful, and it was. So everybody listened to me. I do appreciate that.
He always does.
That's a first.
Yeah, and that is a first.
And then I told her that people just need to realize that it's, ICE and CBP and the, other federal agents and local police officers are just doing their jobs. They're doing their jobs they were, sworn to do, and respect that. It's no different than if any of these people that are protesting had jobs, how would they feel if I went to their job and, screamed in their face, F you, F whatever you do, F the bus driver, F whatever, it takes a toll. And then I feel like and not necessarily here in San Antonio. There was one instance I saw that I'll talk about in a bit, but in Los Angeles, for example, throwing rocks at the police and stuff. Like as a human being, you can only take so much.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
police are trained to de-escalate situations and whatnot, but human nature essentially takes over eventually, and you can only take so much.
Well, and being on the other side of that as a police officer and standing there getting yelled at, and honestly, I think I told you this before. Some of
Hmm.
the things that go through our heads is when we're going to eat. I have to go to the bathroom. Um, oh, there's a taco stand over there. Stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, who farted? I mean, you don't really care. You have to not take it personal
Right.
because it's not. They don't know you. You don't know them. I will say at one time I did offer a protester a chiclet because their breath stunk, and I didn't have a face shield on. Face shield. So I offered them a chiclet, and they got mad.
So yeah, I mean that was pretty much the interview. I did say that I obviously was out there to have an alternative voice to those who were out there protesting. Um, I guess once she found that out, it kind of cut the whole interview short. What aired was essentially um,
I saw it. You were
just
pro no
yeah,
kings there. You were
yeah.
part of
Like,
the
what do you hope to happen out here? And I just hope it's peaceful. Like,
yeah
okay, so forget about
yeah.
everything else being the alternative voice and all that stuff. Um,
You can't have
don't
an
attack the
alternative
police.
voice.
Don't attack the police. Don't attack, ICE. They're doing their jobs. None of that was aired.
I like
Um,
ice.
the One of the things that really bugged me when I first got out there, and I'll start this video clip here in a bit so we can kind of get into some footage that was taken
We
from
don't
there.
need to watch it. You told us all about it.
Well, well, this one's a little different. Essentially, what happened is there was probably this was right when I got out there, 20, 25 people just kind of mingling. The media was there already, and this is what occurred here.
Look at the camera operator.
So the guy with the
In the
camera
video.
just had them coordinate there and tell them when to start. But the media is definitely unbiased.
And then they stop right here and go on about your business.
Okay, next scene.
So I didn't catch it early enough to see him like corral them there. I just saw once he started doing the, keep it going,
So,
and
so he
they,
brought them together.
yeah, they were just like kind of mingling in the same area, and he had of course, he was panning out, right, and they were interviewing one or two here and there, and then he kind of does this like get together, and then he's like start your chant, and then they
So,
start no kings in the USA, no kings in the
so
USA.
I mean, obviously, he's being biased. Obviously, he's orchestrating what's going on. He's part of the production of this. So, yeah, he's
Part,
connected to it.
part of me wanted to walk over and start chanting like Trump 2028 just to ruffle feathers. Like I know that isn't going to happen. I don't want that to happen, but
Uh,
just to ruffle feathers and
yeah,
watch their little thing.
ruin his
I
shot. Okay,
I wrote.
cut. Let's reset. Start from number one. Let's go again.
Yeah, so that was one of the funny parts about this was just seeing how the media kind of brought them together and kind of got that chant going. Of course, I didn't see that clip or if it got aired. Um, but if it did, I would like to see how they zoomed in on those like 8 people to make it seem like there were, hundreds of people there chanting that.
I don't
Um,
remember seeing that on KSAT, but I don't watch that
I think
shit
that
show
was on
anyway.
on Ken's, I think. Is that channel
Oh, was it?
5?
No.
Yeah, I think so. I told
Oh, okay.
Juan about it. He was going to look, and he didn't say. He said he didn't see anything. So I guess they didn't play that.
So it was a bad cut. So
Yeah.
it's on the cutting room floor.
I did. There was this right around the same time. This lady walks by. And she was asking for volunteers. She's like, "Can I get some volunteers to come help me carry some material and signs in here?" And literally just stares right at me. And I look at her, and I did say, "Trump
Because you're
2028." And this sweet elderly lady literally says, "Quote, fuck you," and walked
oh,
off. Made my heart just flutter.
she asked you. Okay, number one, she asked you because you're brown. Where's the help? Where's the help?
Free labor.
Yeah, um, and then when you didn't comply, she swore at you, and that's racist.
She got violent.
Yeah, she got violent. Words are violence.
But I thought that was kind of funny, that whole situation, and I don't know that anybody really helped her, but it is what it is. This next clip, just to kind of set it up.
Quick, speaking of that, did you see the video of the kid standing next to the old lady saying, "Hey, wish him a happy birthday"?
Oh yeah.
And she did. And she's like, "Who? Donald Trump?" After she already wished him a happy birthday.
That was funny, except for the fact he was wearing a Yankees cap. Everything else was funny about it. Setting up this next clip, the march is going. They've started their parading in the street. It's probably got to be a solid above 95 degrees. And sun shining bright, humid as all get out because it's been raining so much here. It was just gross. It was your typical South Texas swamp ass day. And I was sweating in places I didn't even know I had places. And this lady is pulling a wagon with two children in it, and wrong clip. And this happens. Just first off, let's worry about our sign. We gotta get our sign.
Priorities.
You hear the kid crying.
Listen, we've got to get rid of a king, so stop crying.
At this point, I'm like, go home.
Yeah.
Is it that important that your kid is here crying?
Gonna get heat stroke.
The kid was, you could plainly see, and we're gonna blur out the faces, but you can see on the kid's cheeks. They're just red, and the kid is just squalling because it's so uncomfortable out there. And then, of course, you have all these people around yelling and expletives and everything else. Again, thankfully it was peaceful. But what if it wasn't? And something happens like had happened in, I think it was L.A., where kid was pepper sprayed, right? The kid wasn't pepper sprayed, but the crowd was pepper sprayed, and the kid was in the crowd. Don't bring your kids to something that could potentially break out into violence. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It would be like taking your kid to a rock concert and then mad because the mosh pit broke out right in front of you and your kid got injured. Like, why are you going to do it? It makes no sense to me.
Not the smartest people.
On that note.
Oh, didn't you say as well there were some people trying to start a BLM chant as well? Like, what does the Bureau of Land Management have to do with any of this?
They did start chanting Black Lives Matter. What they were chanting some other stuff too.
I love the classics.
It's like they almost it's like they didn't realize why they were there. There were several people with Palestinian flags. Ironically, and I wish I'd gotten a freaking video of it, but Palestinian flag and a gay pride flag were like back to back. And I tried to get it, and
Oh
then the
my
crowd
gosh.
and I was just like, oh my God, if we could get this person a one-way ticket because we don't need the refund, the person coming back because they
Right,
won't
just one
be.
way. Well, did you see?
Um,
Okay, speaking of that, did you see what happened to those? Okay, first not Greta Garbo, Greta
yeah,
Thunberg, and then
can't remember.
those ones that went tried to go through Egypt to Gaza.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, a bunch of these people who are going to save the world because everyone but Hamas is bad. Um, Made it to Egypt. They're European. Most of them are Europeans, and some are Americans. And I guess there was about 50 of them. Tried walking through Egypt to Gaza. Well, Gaza, Egypt has a border wall that
Hmm.
makes ours look. I mean, Tim Walz would have to like get a 100 foot ladder to get over it. Um, they they got stopped by normal Egyptians, everyday Egyptians, and put into a pen on the side of the street, and they were crying and complaining about it. Like that, nobody over
So,
there likes those people.
so they have a wall. Wouldn't that be racist?
It's extremely well, no, because they're not Americans. It's not racist.
Oh,
It's only racist if we do it.
so that I forgot where I heard this.
They don't like them.
It
They
was
do not like the terrorists over there.
why, if you go to any other country and try to enter without a passport, without papers, a work visa, any green card, anything, without any kind
No,
of identification that says you are allowed to be in that country, you are going to either be kicked out of that country or imprisoned.
jailed. Yeah.
Like,
when I when I was
ha-
in Israel, I kept in touch with some friends that I made in Haifa, and Haifa is a big non-Jewish part of Israel. It's not huge. I mean, it's not all non-Jews, but there's a lot of non-Jewish people that live there. Arabs that aren't Jewish, anyway. Um, and of course, this was back when the PLO was the thing, and they said we don't like the terrorists. We're just, and honestly, they're friends that we met them and a couple other people, and they're like, they just bring nothing but trouble. We want peace. We want to be able to live our lives as normal people. We don't want to get involved in the shootings and the bombings, and we hate you and you hate us. We just want to live our life. And then the other times I've been in throughout around the Middle East, that's all they want. They're just like us. They just want to live their life. They don't want to be bothered by um, no King's Day,
mhm.
rioting, BLM, blah blah blah, all this bullshit, and they just don't like them. We don't either.
I'm gonna I'm gonna show the last 30 seconds of this clip, and it's really just to kind of give some more insight on what went on. You see your pride flags out there, upside down American flag, regular American flags, the right way. And a kid that's still extremely hot and wants to go home. So,
Can't be bothered though.
um, it happened his first term, and it's happened this term.
Yeah.
And by it, I mean Donald Trump got hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of overweight people out marching in the streets and exercising.
He can
Make
do it.
America healthy again. The the
Yeah.
the
You know what's
average.
funny too is I bet a lot of these people are all about or were or haven't been told what they're supposed to believe about electric vehicles. So how did they get there? Bus,
um,
walk, car,
there
Uber?
were there were well, I personally Ubered down there because I wasn't going to take a chance at parking my vehicle, and then if something happened, I didn't want to. risk having to make a speed bump out of a human. Um, it's just
Yeah, I know.
somebody. I saw a video, and I think you sent it earlier
It's in
today.
Riverside.
The person is
Oh,
in
wait.
front
Was
of
it yes,
in
that's
front
a
of
different one. Yeah,
like holding the hood like this. And I'm sorry, you
it
don't
got
have a right to
squished.
be in the street. You don't have a right to impede traffic. You don't have a right to illegally detain me, is
And
what you are
defy the
doing.
laws of gravity and physics by stopping a car with your fat body.
And yes, your body is big, but you're not going to stop this vehicle.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to me what these
Well,
people are thinking when they do
they
that.
didn't have enough gas to go around them, so
Well, the gravitational pull pulled the vehicle right into them, and um, but yeah, again, I'm thankful that San Antonio kept it peaceful. Um,
me
it,
too.
it lasted a long time. There was one incident, I will say, right before it was right towards the end where me and Brett and Christina like veered off, and we were going to grab food. But there was a woman, I guess. I didn't ask her, and I'm sure she wouldn't have known. So walks by this police officer and just right in his face and just says, "Fuck the police." And I just saw like you could look on his face and just kind of see that like
What?
so I turned to him and I was like, thank you for what you do. And Christina said, thank you as well. And the cop smiled. And it's like those two comments, they weren't huge, so
It's appreciated.
but he
Thank you
was
for
just
doing it.
like he was just you could see where he went from deflated to like, oh, okay, it's okay,
Yeah.
and
Was there anything else going on around that area at the time? Like, was there any marching, yelling, anything?
everybody was in the street marching. She went off the beaten path to get in his face to tell him that. And
Needs attention. I
yes,
need attention. I need attention.
the National Guard was more over towards the Alamo. Nothing happened over there, thankfully. I do think that having the presence and knowing that the National Guard was there may have deterred a lot. I think that was a smart call to
Yeah.
be proactive about it. Um,
You don't want it to turn into LA.
right. And being proactive, in any event is much better than being reactive. We, no matter what you're doing, whether it's work or, riots
Organizing a softball
or the
season.
softball season. Being proactive about things is, it saves you headaches. Um, look to the future at what might happen. If it doesn't, then people are also going to say, well, it was a waste of resources because nothing happened. Well, nothing happened because we were proactive about
Right.
it to ensure
Right.
that nothing happened. We are happy that we wasted these resources and everybody was safe. That's what
Yeah.
the resources are for. But overall, and I know I kind of bloviated a lot during this session, it was an interesting time out there. I think if I had it to do all over again, um, I would take a gas mask because that
People stink.
non-deodorant people, that ain't for me. Um, I don't know how, and I
How
guess
do
it's
these people live?
well,
Alone?
um, yeah,
They're smell blind.
it
They're
was
smell
well,
blind.
they've become immune to it. I mean, I'm guessing they
Yeah.
have no nasal. Um,
Okay. On that note, of the women that you saw there, or however they describe
uh-huh.
themselves, um, armpit hair? Yes, no.
I knew you were going there, and I may have a video of one who was less than shaven underneath.
Yeah.
I'll try to find that video, and I have quite a few videos and Brett and
Okay.
Christina have some video of a 360 cam that will
Oh, cool.
they'll have to download that and get it over to me.
If we
Um,
could figure out how to fly that one of them stupid drones in the fleet that we have, we could use that too.
um, but yeah, that was there. And overall, it was your typical. one person says something and then the crowd follows and chants, no kings, no kings, no kings. Yeah, it's just, thankfully, we still have no kings. So
yeah, they did it. Yay. Thank you.
One, and I'll end on this, and we can kind of wrap up soon, but one person did, of course, it was the Alphabet Supers that said because it was June, they don't want kings, they want queens.
Yeah.
So queens are okay, but no kings. My next live, in about 2 weeks, I do want to kind of put something together for Pride. We in San Antonio, they're having their Pride event. I do want to go out there and kind of show what happens at Pride. Let people see what happens at Pride. Let you all decide. Do children need to be around this? Should children be around this? Are children running this? Because the immaturity of it all, that's what it seems like to me.
It's staggering.
But I do appreciate
at times.
Your help with the stuff on Saturday, kind of getting that live stuff set up. And I like I said, we're gonna go through some video and try to get it up soon. But yeah, it was interesting. I would go again with a master.
Maybe next year.
Tons
for his birthday next year.
Tons of masks. COVID,
like gas masks,
COVID, and all that. Like the N95s that aren't N95s. The coffee filter with string wrapped around it.
Yes.
And there was a lot of that.
The cut up chonies.
It was interesting. But I'm glad it was a success, and we don't have a king. Nobody's calling for one. So kudos to them for that. We'll have a couple more podcasts before Pride event, but look forward to that one because I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Excuse me. I'm looking forward to that. I honestly, I avoid the Pride stuff, the parades and all that. I'm gonna be out there, not because I necessarily want to be, but we do have to do some volunteering for softball. So we can get. Oh, hey, did I win the thing yet?
No.
Who won? Somebody else?
Bobby's grandson.
Rigged. The guy who was running for mayor.
Yeah, but
his grandson rigged.
We'll have some more stuff coming up soon. Follow us on X. We've been very, very active on there. At Right Side Pride podcast with no vowels in it. We'll put it hopefully at the end of this so you can see to follow. And it's been pretty active on there. We've been pretty active on there the last, I would say, 2 weeks.
It's been fun.
Yeah. It's been entertaining. We've had quite a few more followers, and a lot of people who don't necessarily.
It's funny too.
Like my comments.
These people who comment, if they have a valid point, don't just come on and say, "Oh, F you." But if they have like a valid point, I always ask them, "Look, if you can come up with a cogent dialogue, come on the podcast," and they never do.
Yeah, I've always been told I'm not going to fall into that right-wing trap.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get attacked by a bunch of maggots, MAGGATS or MAGATS.
There's always an excuse.
Yeah,
I'm like at this one. I guess she was a female. She didn't tell me, but she looked that way anyway. I said, you know what? You're pretty smart. You have you've come up with some interesting points. Why don't you come on our podcast and you can discuss them, and you can show everybody this side of the argument that we may not see, we may not know, our audience may not know about, and you can educate us, educate them too. And as long as you're respectful, we're respectful. As long as you were respectful, you got free reign. And, I sent her a link and she's like, no response. So.
Yeah, I've tried to get the local Pride people on prior to Pride, so they could get the message out of Pride and everything. They also don't respond. I've sent the president of Pride and the secretary of Pride. I've sent both of them of Pride San Antonio. I've sent both of them messages to come on board and have a conversation. I think we've even sent the mayor-elect an invite to come on, and no response. But and we're part of the family, right? Are we?
Are we though?
Yes,
I mean, they don't. They won't claim us. Whenever we don't STFU and fall in line.
Yeah.
Do they consider us part of the community?
But it's a cross we bear. Anywho, it's coming up on time. It's been fun talking about the. I was going to say the Pride
not
Parade.
Having a king.
The Pride Parade, and it was almost like essentially the same stuff.
Might as well have been.
They should have lumped it all into one, but it was interesting being out there, seeing all the different folks. Again, and I've said it a couple times. I'm glad they were peaceful. I'm glad that it was, they spoke their mind, they exercised their rights, and it was productive for them. There's no king, and we can thank everybody for that.
They saved all of us, not just them. They're saving us.
And we'll have some more stuff coming up soon. And if you have any topics to talk about or want to come on and chat with us, just let us know. We're always open to hearing from more people, so we don't have to hear ourselves bloviating all the time. We get tired of voice.
I get tired of Hector's bloviating. I don't get to bloviate enough. With my sharp wit, according to Tracy.
What he meant was nitwit.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But yeah, it was fun, and I look forward to our next conversation. I'm sure we'll have another one this week, maybe tomorrow or Thursday. We can come back on and kind of get on a regular schedule here.
Yeah.
But I will leave you with the final words.
Be good humans, and we'll see you next week or next time on the next episode.
Later this week.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Bye.
Your hosts today have been and still are Hector Barrera and Angela Tapia. Today's episode was produced by the ever-malevolent producer Roz. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Right Side Pride.